Hello and welcome to Warhammer Wednesday. This week's video will be my review of the Space Marine Thunderhawk gunship. I'll let you know that one of these models will cost £450. It is an astronomical amount of money. However, it's a full resin kit and it's got quite a few sort of customization options. It's really sort of straightforward kit to build. I only had a few issues. I'll be uploading my sort of build guide video as well today that'll have a few sort of tips and things as I'm building it. So if you didn't already know, the original Thunderhawk that they did was one of their first models. I think it came out, I want to say sort of 15 years ago, probably more than 15 years ago. It was sort of definitely around similar time as like the Baneblade, the original Baneblade that Forge World had on their site, and they had a few other sort of Imperial tanks and things, and then they had the Lucius Warhound Titan, I think a little bit after the original Thunderhawk, and then I think in 2004 they brought out the Mars pattern Warhound Titan, which you can still buy, but yeah, a few months ago they sold the last one of the previous model, and everybody sort of thought that they'd be making a plastic Thunderhawk. That didn't really happen. Instead, Forge World took their experience and things from making the Stormbird and made this new Thunderhawk all in resin. I don't have an original Thunderhawk. I heard that it was a bit of a pain to build and get right, a bit of a labour of love, but I can tell you with this one it's very straightforward. The guide is incredible. We have to talk about the guide, this instruction book. It's got all of the pieces in like an exploded view. They're all labelled. It tells you exactly where to sort of glue and in which order. Very straightforward. If all of your pieces are prepared, so if they're washed, mould lines taken off and sanded down, you can just construct this from all the pieces in a day. It's quite straightforward. But I'd say if you have washed all the parts, then it'd take a good 2 days to prepare them and file them, and then obviously build the model. That's a good 2 days. And that's mainly if you don't want to do any magnetisation. I've done a fair bit of magnetisation in this model, and I'll show you that in a moment. But yeah, absolute joy to build. It really is a centrepiece for a Space Marine army. Speaking of which, I'll just do a little size comparison, because I'll be releasing an in-depth size comparison with quite a few of my models next week, Wednesday. And there'll probably be lots of other sort of Warhammer related videos that week too. But a little size comparison. Here's a Space Marine. It's a normal standard Space Marine. That sort of goes to show you the size of this thing. It's a very large model. I think it's almost as tall as my Warlord Titan, sort of lengthways standing up. So that gives you that sort of size. I think Warlord is about 22 inches or so in height. So there you go. The door opens, and yeah, you could have a Space Marine or two walking out of that. Easily fits a Space Marine. There is another sort of hatch there, but again, that's even smaller than this front one. So that's it compared to a Dreadnought. Yeah, in the in-depth sort of size comparison video, I'll be comparing it to the Stormbird and a couple of Titans and things. So I hope you join me for that. Right, so a few things. Firstly, the model isn't 100% complete. There's just sort of one aspect of the model that I haven't yet fully finished, and that is the attack wings. They're just resting on there at the moment, and that's because if you can either glue them in place, you know, just stay down like that, or you can leave them loose, whereby you can have them. You know, you could do that with them and glue them like that too. Nothing stopping you there. Or you can have them loose so that you can just move them about. But if you hold them there, they're not going to hold up with their own weight. And I think it's a really good feature that this isn't glued, so that when you obviously move it up, the las cannon follows the wing. I think that's a really cool, neat design. So I want to just build on that, and actually I messed up there, but I'll put some green stuff in, and you can hardly see that anyway, and I'll put some ridges and stuff, you won't even notice that. What I've decided to do, and I don't mind if you copy my amazing genius idea, is I'm actually going to drill a hole through there and drill a hole all the way through and put some magnet rods in, and do the same for this. It might actually drill into the hull, that's fine though, so that when the wing is deployed, like so, I mean it goes sort of that height, which is fine, then it's going to align with the two magnets there, and it's going to hopefully hold it in place. Although this is quite a heavy thing, and I've already tried it with one magnet and it wasn't that strong. So that's the plan anyway. Okay, that is the plan, is to do that. So yeah, it's just these attack wings that aren't fully sort of glued on yet. It's the same for the other side. It's up to you. You know, plenty of option to magnetise this turbo laser. You can magnetise it, you can glue it, whatever. It only comes with one weapon. So there you go. The door, I've also magnetised, just a small magnet in there. I'll green stuff that and make it flush so you won't even see it. I don't know how the designer managed to sort of make the model where the door closes and stays closed. It must have just sort of like heated the rim of that door to sort of close the gap and make it sort of quite tight. But I've just magnetised mine, which is fine. You can barely see it, and that still keeps it operational. Obviously, God knows what I'm now going to do with the inside now that I've managed to sort the door out and things. Probably just spray it and then spray the silver inside, and then try and get some wash in there to sort of give you some kind of idea of internal sort of workings. These front sponson heavy bolters, they move. They're not magnetised, but that's fine. They move and they're drilled out, so it gives you a bit more detail. The front cockpit is transparent. Up to you. I've seen both versions where if you look at Warhammer Fest video, the artist has done two of these. One I've sprayed it and put like a black shadow effect on there, almost like the blinds are down, or the atmospheric shield is down because it's entering the atmosphere. Also, I've seen it where just the frame is painted. I think they both work quite well. The only problem obviously is you're going to have to put some Imperial Primer or something on the frame before you actually apply the paint. Otherwise the paint probably won't take very well to that. So that's that. The cockpit, can just be sprayed black and then painted internal silver, and then the details and things, you can get to them quite easily of the two, the pilot and the co-pilot. It's good because the internal, there's ladders down all the way, and that is the same as the Stormbird, same sort of configuration. Someone actually asked me if you can put the cockpit frame on the Thunderhawk from the Stormbird. No, is the short answer. You can't do that. It's a bit bigger. It doesn't have these forks. And likewise, can you put that on the Stormbird? Again, no, you can't do that. So you can't swap them over. The Stormbird is a bit bigger, but if you look at that cockpit frame, it only looks a tiny bit bigger. So there you go. Anyway, that's the frontal area. These doors, you could magnetise them, these doors either side. And if we just have a look, I'm just going to take this wing off because it's going to fall off if I don't. So yeah, it's a heavy model. It's going to be an absolute heavy thing to sort of paint and hold and paint. If you look at the underbelly, it's got this other door here, so that's another way of getting out. So you've got four access points there. Then you've got the front landing pad and the two rear landing pads. Quite straightforward to construct. Then you've got the missiles, 3 there and 3 there, and then you've got these heavy bolters. You've also got these little retro thrusters, which is great. Sort of gives you some idea if all of those are fired that the Thunderhawk actually gets off the ground. But there we go. And these heavy bolters, I've actually modelled mine so that they swivel and they go up and down, and also they're magnetised. Not that you can change the weapons, but just for storage, and also that means that you can rotate them too. So that's a cool little neat feature, and I'd advise everyone to do that, because that's brilliant. I mean, you could magnetise the missiles as well if you really wanted, to show them sort of after being used, because I think they are one use only. Another cool thing that the designer's done is he's made it so that these air brakes open, but they're a little bit of a pain to open, but that's fine. So they open like that, and so does the other one. They're not glued inside, they just move loose, but you can have them open or close, it's really up to you. I mean, if you were having this in an attack position or in an action sort of pose, as it were, you could really have this lock S-foils in attack position sort of thing, with the las cannons up, with the air brakes on, but it's really up to you. Landing, you may have them deployed, or you may not once it's landed, but it's cool that gives you the option to have them out or not. When I first saw it, I thought there was another one on the back, but you know, there isn't. And then that's the rear, so you've got your 3 jet thrusters there, and your dorsal sort of wing. So there you go. That is the model. I think it's an absolutely incredible model. It's good that you can sort of build it all in one. Obviously, yeah, you can glue these wings down. One of the reasons why I'm not going to glue them down, and I'd rather magnetise them, is also painting. You know, if you can imagine, I know this is the wrong way around, but if you can imagine that being glued there, it's going to be nigh on impossible to get your brush in there and paint those flat surfaces. I mean, you could leave it loose and spray it all and then glue that into position, but it's just another thing to sort of think about. So now what I'll do is I'll just go through the rules of the Thunderhawk, and for size comparison, I'll just show you a little bit of size comparison with the Stormbird wing. So here's the Stormbird wing. Yeah, it's not that big. It's sort of, I'd say, almost twice as big as the Thunderhawk wing. Sort of put it that way, twice the thickness. But that gives you sort of some idea of how big a Stormbird is. It's definitely a lot wider, only a fair bit longer, but yeah, check out my other video coming soon regarding that. Now the rules, there's 2 ways of finding the rules. I'm going to give you them both anyway. So in the 30k, you can use the Age of Darkness army list, and in the 40k, you can use the Imperial Armour Volume 2. So we'll start off with 40k. So the 40k rules, it's 685 points. It is a Lord of War, and it's super heavy. Its ballistic skills 4, its front and side armour is 12, so not amazing, and its rear is 10. So, you know, it's pretty bad compared to sort of like a Land Raider. Land Raider's 14 all round, and supposedly the same sort of manufacturing processes that go into a Thunderhawk, same as a Land Raider. So you got 14 all round, or this, which has got 12, 12, 10, and it has 9 hull points. It's a super heavy flyer, hover and transport. It can carry 30 models. It's an assault vehicle, and it has machine spirit. It's got hull mounted Thunderhawk cannon, which can be obviously replaced by a turbo laser destructor for 90 points. Strongly advise you do that. I mean, the Thunderhawk cannon is a good 72-inch range, strength 8 AP3, 7-inch blast. However, turbo laser destructor is a little bit smaller blast at 5 inches, but it is a greater range at 96, and it's a destroyer AP2. So worth doing that, and then that means that the vehicle's then going to be 775 points. It comes with 6 Hellstrike missiles and 4 sponsor-mounted twin-linked heavy bolters. You can replace the missiles with cluster bombs. You can also upgrade it with a flare chaff launcher, armoured cockpit, Ilum flares, and distinctive paint scheme or markings. So it will definitely pack a punch. The armour's not the best, but the armament is incredible. You've got 6 missiles, you've got 4 twin-linked heavy bolters. I'm not going to go about the new rules, I'm just going to stick with the old rules at the moment for twin-link weapons. So that is going to be 12 shots re-rolling, which is good because it's ballistic skill 4. So you've got 12 heavy bolter shots. Remember, it's super heavy, so you can fire all of its weapons at different things. It's got the missiles, it's got the turbo laser destructor, which is your D weapon, which is your sort of Titan killer or super heavy killer, and then you've got your a set of twin-link las cannons as well. So even if it uses those 6 missiles, it's still got the twin-link las cannons. And going down on a bombing run against another super heavy, or even against a flyer, those twin-link las cannons and the 6 missiles are gonna definitely leave a mark. And then you can use your turbo laser on a land raider to completely annihilate it, or whatever really. So very decent model, 770 points with the turbo laser. And then on top of that you can carry your 30 Space Marines. Now 30k, it's the same price, it's 685, and it's also the same price for with the turbo laser destructor, so same price as in 40k. It gets a couple of extra options in terms of the upgrades, so you can give it a flare shield, ramjet diffraction grid, and a void crafted hull. So flare shield at 50 points is just a no-brainer. Same armor, same hull points, same ballistic skill, same weapons, but in addition it also says that it can carry Legion Dreadnoughts counting as 10 models each. It doesn't say how many it can hold maximum, so one would assume that it can carry the 3 Dreadnoughts. It can also carry jump infantry and bikes. The void crafted hull, basically it increases its rear armor to 12, so again void crafted hull and flare shield make this an absolute beast, but then you're increasing its points cost overall. So again, in 30k, very potent weapon, incredible for carrying sort of 3 Dreadnoughts or your 30 Space Marines. So there you go. I just wanted to touch on briefly about the rules and things, because yes, this does have rules, even though it doesn't have a flying base, so it's almost impossible to use it in game. If you're a gamer that really wants to use this in game rather than collect it like myself, then it may well be worth you building that base. The designer actually said that one of the best places to sort of drill a hole for the base to get it balanced is actually just here. Although that's sort of hollow, that's a good sort of balance area, rather than here where it will undoubtedly sort of tip forward. Here is the good sort of medium, and you could stick a huge rod in there and then connect it to a base. And there you go, that is the end of my review. I hope you found it useful and enjoyed it. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor protects.